I'm really stunned when I round around a game that really offers something innovative, something different, and something functional, something that I have never seen before. As you can see behind me, I have lots and lots of games, but I'm always looking for games that bring something new to the table, either through development, through production, through aesthetics, through mechanics, or theme. When I ran around this little gem, Palm Island, I was positively surprised how much fun it would offer in such a small box. This is a game where you just have one deck of cards in your hands and you're trying to develop your starting village on the island, make it bigger, expand, and make it worth more victory points by the end of the game, so that you score and you position yourself on a chart to see how well you have done. This is a very simple game in terms of mechanic. It uses hand management and variable deck building aspects in terms of upgrading the cards that you shuffle and you rotate or flip in order to give them better effects or additional victory points at the end. And this will be done over the course of 8 rounds. You have 17 cards, if I'm not mistaken, which you're going to run through 8 times for the 8 rounds, each and every time developing the cards. The actions on the card are very simple. You can either flip or rotate the card. You can think of each card of having 4 different orientations. For example, let me show you a case. Each card can have the upper part, the lower part, if you rotate it, if you flip it, the third part, and if you flip and rotate in 2 separate actions, the 4th part. You can think of each of the 4 parts as one better than the other. So you go from the lowest first part, which is essential basic action, to the 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th. And along the way you gain victory points and you upgrade your cards, and on the next round it will come back to you upgraded with more opportunities and more things for you to use, more resources, more powerful actions, etc. Hand management and, in a sense, deck building. Yeah, it's deck building essentially, but it's done in 15 minutes. One of the best assets of the game is that you can play it standing, on the bus, on the train, waiting in a queue in the bank or whatever, so you don't have to have a playing area. You can just have your hands free, so you can essentially just one hand to keep the deck of cards in your hand, and then with the other one reposition the cards or rotate them. And it's really a pleasant surprise. I have a very good time playing it this summer. I got the game and I brought it with me over the holidays, so I played it waiting for other people. I played it by the sea. I even test drove and used it underwater, because this edition actually is with plastic cards. So what you can do is you can just immerse, throw the cards essentially in a pool of water, and they don't get destroyed because they're plastic, so you don't have to worry. So I really did a very tough test drive, and it proves that they can stand everything, a lot of bidding and a lot of water and let's say misuse. So great game overall. The production is nice, allows you for the game to be played all around the cases, standing still or waiting in queue. But overall, it's a simple game with a simple theme and simple mechanics, but it works. And in 15 minutes, I don't think that there are many games that can offer this pleasant experience to us. So come with me, let me show you how the game plays in a few simple rules, and then I'll be back at the end of the video with a quick opinion and a wrap-up. Quick video to show you how Palm Island works. A very fast, simple and fun game, which consists of a few cards. Actually the basic version only consists of 17 cards, and these cards are enough for you to have a blast with some let's say deck building in a way, because you simply upgrade your cards and make them better. So, welcome to Palm Island. What we do in this game is we take control of a new village that is on the island, obviously, and it just has begun to take root on this new effort to expand, develop and become larger on the scene. With our help, it will rise greater strength and grow into a thriving island village. And what we need to do is we need to invest in resources to increase the production, establish markets, trade goods, build temples, and receive in this way precious victory points. So, using a deck of just 17 cards, as you can see in front of you, you will upgrade and transform each of your cards to gain more resources, abilities and victory points. The game ends after 8 rounds of play, and then we complete our objective depending on the game mode, or we try to get a high score to win on the basic game. So I'm going to show you first the basic way to play the game, the solo game, and it's similar for the core has some similar elements for the other modes. So as you can see, I have one of the decks in front of me. There are two decks included. One is with the blue band in the middle. These are enough for a player to have a session. There is another one with a red band, so another player can play. This box plays for 1 to 2 players. You can also extend to more players if you combine more copies of the game. So let's speak about the basic solo setup. To begin the game, we take either the blue or the red deck of 17 cards, and what we do is we sort them out by number. As you can see, the cards have a numerical value in the top right, on the top left, corner of the card, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's in only one of the corners. There is no number in any of the other corners, not even when you flip the card to indicate the number of the card. So position them in such a way so that the first is on the top, then you have second, third, and all the numbers are in the same position as you can see in front of you. The last card is going to be this one, which is the 17th card, and it's actually a round tracker. The game is played over 8 rounds. So what you do is, for the beginning, you just set this card aside, take this card, the deck of cards, you shuffle them thoroughly, and once done, and once let's say you have shuffled it enough, I'm just going to place some cards on top so that you can start explaining the game. Okay, let's say this was my shuffle. When I have shuffled the deck, then I put this card at the very end of the deck with a number 1 on the top, indicating that when I reach this card, round number 1 is done. Now we're ready to go. Let's talk about the cards a bit. There is an active area. Each card has 4 possible orientations. The face-up top section of each card, which is the active area that is being represented when you see it in front of you. That's this section here. Of course, depending on the card's orientation, you can have either when you rotate it, the second, let's say, level of the card being active, or if you have flip it, the third level of the card, or if you have actually this is the 4th level of the card. So there are always 4 possible orientations of the card: the basic one, the rotated one, the flipped one, and the flipped and rotated one, which is the 4th one, and it usually is the best. What you're trying to do in this game is, of course, you're trying to upgrade the cards and secure a lot of victory points along the way, showing that you have developed your village sufficiently. Now, what we do is we put, as I mentioned before, the round card at the very end, so it's tracking the rounds, and we're ready to go. After a shuffle, we're ready to go. Let me put another card so you don't think that number 1 needs to be 1 after the shuffle. Let's say we had something like that. Okay, so this at the back, ready to go. So how the game goes. Each turn you must do one of the 2 things. Either take an action on one of the top 2 cards on your deck, that means this one and that one, and the active area of the card is this one or that one from the top 2 cards, or you discard the top card from your deck by taking it without switching its orientation and putting it at the very back. So one of those 2. When taking an action, you can choose one of the 3 possible icons, 3 possible action icons. You can have the green arrow pointing on the right, you can have the yellow arrow, which is like a U-turn, and then you can have this blue, let's say, rotating arrow, which is for flipping the card, the flipping arrow. To use a card's action, you must pay the cost. This is done using the stored resources you have in your deck by rotating them to their original position counterclockwise. I'm going to show you and demonstrate in a bit how this is done. And then you pay for the respective resources in order to take the action. Some actions are free, like this one. So, for example, this top card, or I could pick from those, I have 3 options: either to do this action, either that action, or, 2 options, and then another 2 from the second card, that action or that action. I can always look on the first 3 cards of my deck, so I can also have a glance on the third, but I cannot use it. If I want to discard the card, it needs to be the one on the top always, that it goes to the back. I can never discard the second card in my row, even if I don't like it. So, Following these basic rules, let me just explain simply the icons and what each icon needs. This icon is the store icon, the green arrow. When you see it and you choose it, you can pay it or use it as a free. If it says free, then you don't have to pay. If it has resources, you have to expend them. When you use this action, you store a resource. The cards on their active part, they have a resource. This card has a single wood, so I store it by rotating it 90 degrees and then putting it at the back of my deck. The wood element extends, so you can see that I have one card of resource wood, let's say one block of wood as a resource available to me for future rounds. Say for the benefit, now it's the next turn, so I take turns by going through my deck, and to finish one round I need to go through the whole deck once. It could be that in the future, for example, this is a free one, so I could just use this to store, or I couldn't have passed and went directly to the second one. Yeah, I should have discarded if I wanted to discard, but if I want to keep it, I could just pick the second one and go and use it, and then put this one on the very first position as you can see now, so it doesn't go this one at the back. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, this action has there are various store actions. For example, you can have it in the advanced mode. Let me show you a case where okay, this is an upgraded card, but when you store, you rotate, and you can have two resources on a card, or you can even say make a rotation, store, and then have a combined mixture of two different or even three resources. In any case, you can never go beyond the 4 cards. You can only store 4 cards, but they can have multiple number of resources. And again, when you take a resource card, you simply extend slightly just the top icon, so it is visible to you the total amount of resources that you have in your possession to expend. Here I have 2 wood, 2 fish, and 2 stone. Okay, let's move to the second icon to explain. This is the yellow icon like that, which is the rotate. So I can spend 1 wood, 1 fish, and 2 stone. It's always good to spend the top one by rotating anti-clockwise. 1 wood, 1 fish, and 2 stone. Yeah. And then I can perform the action, which is the yellow one, to rotate it. When you rotate it, you simply do what I did. You turn it upside down, and then you go to a better indication or a version of the card. For example, here, this was a temple. This is not a resource production card. This has a victory point, so by rotating it, I already gained 3 victory points for the end of the game, and this goes at the back. Now, the third possible action that you can do is to flip a card. So for this, in order to flip a card, I should have had another fish. So let's say, for the benefit of the demonstration, I had 2 fish like that, and I choose one of the 2 actions. I choose to flip it, spend 2 fish. This is lost, the additional wood. I put them normally, anti-clockwise, and then I flip the card. I simply take it and flip it like that. You see, it is a better version of the card. This gives 1 stone and goes at the back. Keep in mind, when I do the flip or the rotate, they don't get stored, they just go at the back with the normal orientation. You need to make a store action in order to have them in the future, say that was here, stored and positioned at the back. Every time you have resources at the back, pointing out on the right or on the left, depending if you're right or left-handed, and then you have the cards showing the resources you have. So, store, rotate, and flip. These are the options. If you have 4 cards and you need to store a 5th one, then you need to expend one, rotate it so that you lost it essentially, and then you store your 4th one. You can never go beyond 4 cards of resources. The last thing that I want to point out is, let's say it's my turn and I discard, and then this resource card which was stored comes first. Then what I do is, unfortunately, I have to lose it. So keep in mind to always try to use the ones further to your hands, further up, before the same resource is towards the back. so it's a sense of a timer there as well. So you continue to do that, and you can either, in some cases you can either choose to pay with one or the other, or in some cases you have to pay a whole bunch of things, especially when you get temples. But the idea is, first of all, your productive cards, they are upgraded and they end up giving you loads and lots of resources with one simple use. But the important thing as well is what you're trying to do is you're trying to get temples, because see, the temple starts with 0 point, when you second level is 3 points, when you flip it, second level is 3 points, when you flip is 6 points, and when you flip all the way to the fourth orientation is 10 victory points, which is quite a lot. And another source of victory points are those cards, the housing cards, which start like that. You have to rotate for a single victory point, and then they go to 3 before they move to the fourth orientation, which is 6. All this is going to go on and on by selectively upgrading either productive cards which yield resources or investing in victory points, as long as you have the extra resource to expend, until at some point through normal play your end of round card reaches the top of your deck. That means that signifies that the first round has finished. So the next thing that you do is you rotate it to the second one, you put it at the back, you continue to follow the same process, upgrading, paying, blah 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 blah, and then when this comes, this is going to go to the third one and go to the back, then to the fourth one, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then 8 is the last round. That means that when it reaches for the 8th time the top of your deck, then you're done, and then you have to add up only the active victory points on the top active area. If you have upgraded them, that better. 1 plus 2, 3 plus 6, 9 and 10, 19, and 3, 22, and 2, 24, 25, if I didn't count wrongly. And then you make a sum, which you're going to go and compare with this chart at the bottom, at the end of the rulebook. If you reach between 10 and 19, you need work on your sum. 20 till 29, you have respectable score, then exceptional, and then astonishing. And then if you play the co-op mode, which I'm going to explain following this comment, you have this score that you need to reach per player. So that being said, this is a basic game to play the basic solo setup, the basic solo game, how it plays. You can either play on your own, or you can have additional people playing up to 2 players with 1 copy, or more players with more copies. Another mode that the game offers is the co-op mode. For the co-op mode, you have, for example, some some disasters or some natural phenomenon happening, like an eruption of a volcano or a hurricane, and what you need to do is you have these cards open. I'm not going to go through the details of the rules, so you can read them in the rulebook, and per player, so it's chaos per player, you have to perform this action in order to be able to, let's say, compensate for this disaster or for this national phenomenon. Phenomenon that is going to happen. So this is a way to play with co-op game, the co-op cards. If you mix them, there is a way to play competitive when you have this outpost, and you have a specific amount of outposts that at the end of each round everyone is waiting, and then players can see if they can make the action and expend the resources in order to obtain all these victory points. You can have a speed competitive mode as well. You can throw in the village mode, additional things. Just to note here that when you're playing the competitive mode, what you do is one player fixes their deck 1, 3, 15, 14 in a specific sequence, and then reads it out so that all the players are making the same sequence in their cards, so it's fair to everyone. And the last thing I want to mention is that there are some things here like for example, these feats, that you can acquire more powerful cards once you, let's say, check the respective checkbox. So if you manage to score at least 30 points, you can gather the Statue of Trust, put it in your deck, and your future turns are going to be more powerful and aim for more things. All this is very nice because it gives an additional layer to the game, and you can see that, for example, this comes unlocked. This is the different tools, and when you get it, locked, and when you get it, you unlock it, and then you can have it in your deck and use it. Some give one-time bonuses or different rules that are explained on the card. Other are powerful additional cards that provide more resources. 4 stone, for example, that's a lot, etc. So this is very useful as you play more and more games and you become more competent and more capable in scoring high amounts of victory points. But in any case, the basic idea is that. Just the last thing I want to mention is the game comes with this store card resources. So if you have flipped cards on the right and you want to leave your game to continue later on, even though 15 minutes it's a very short time, but let's say it's interrupted, you can put those cards before your store cards, and then you know you have to flip them on the right before you continue playing once you open the box. I have done it and it works perfectly fine. One last mention, which is actually something very important. I think this plastic edition is the definitive edition one needs to get. It's not expensive at all. These cards are brilliant. These are plastic cards, they are indestructible. I have thrown water on them, I have taken them to me on next to the seaside, throw sand on them. I even played a session halfly immersed in the pool. So they're durable, they don't get destroyed, they don't get wet, they don't, it's really a blast. You can play the game everywhere. First of all, because of the way the game is designed to be portable, no table presence is needed, no table gaming space. And you can just simply have the cards in your hand with the deck being shuffled and the resources being stored like that, and play through 8 rounds. But also, if not only you're standing or waiting in the bank or waiting standing on the bus or on the train, you can still take it, let's say, somewhere windy or somewhere wet when it's raining outside, or even when you're in the sea or in the pool, which I've done, and it works fine. It's really fun and all the people are really surprised to see you playing a game in the pool, a card game. So that's great. So this is Palm Island. I really enjoyed the game. It's very versatile. It has a surprisingly high amount of game modes, which is very welcome. I didn't expect that I will be so much enjoying this game. I knew it was fun and innovative, but really it was they tick the right boxes. Very fun. If you get your hands around it, I highly suggest that you give it a go. And this is how you play Palm Island. Well, there you have it. This is Palm Island. It's such a pleasant surprise. I was really caught off guard when I had the first chance to try Palm Island, because I knew it was a simple game with things and mechanics that we have seen elsewhere, but here in the 15-minute margin playtime, with the simple use of the cards and the way that you can literally play it standing still, waiting in queue, in line, on the bus, on the train, with no playing area at all, it's brilliant, it's amazing. I really enjoyed and I had fun. I really thought that I was picking my small village island and I was developing it and making it bigger so that it's worth more victory points at the end of the game. I'm looking forward to try the different modes of the game, the competitive mode and the co-op mode, which offer more opportunities, and see how this works. But even from the base game of the solo sessions that I really had the pleasure of trying it this summer, I had a beautiful time and I really enjoyed it. I don't think that I have another game of this purpose and scope in my library, and I think what it is set to do, it manages to do it really well and very efficiently. Highly recommend it. If you haven't checked it out, this is Palm Island, and give it a try if you have to run somewhere where someone is playing it, or you can get your hands on it. Great game, fun, simple, and very enjoyable. This is Palm Island.